The campus chaos in the U.S. is escalating. Dozens of protesters took over a building at Columbia University in New York. U.S. President Joe Biden says he opposes the seizure of the campus building. These are images from the Columbia University. Protesters entered Hamilton Hall, the site of student protests dating back to the 1960s. The protesters have also barricaded the entrance. The protesters also unfurled a Palestinian flag out of a window in the latest escalation of demonstrations against the Israel-Hamas war that has spread to college campuses nationwide. There is sloganeering and tensions are running high. House Republicans called for the immediate resignation of Columbia University President Dr. Minoshe Shafik, saying she has lost complete control of the campus.
The crowd in Columbia was chanting for Hamas. They're waving Hezbollah flags, Hamas flags. Hamas endorsed the crowd in the protest within an hour before we began to speak there on Wednesday. This thing is out of control. And the administrators who are allowing this need to be removed, and we've got to get control of these campuses. End of story.
Israel and its supporters have branded the university protests as anti-Semitic, while critics of Israel say it uses such allegations to silence opponents. And for more on this, let's cross over to New York, where our correspondent Susan Teherani is standing by live. Susan Teherani, good to see you. What's the latest on the Columbia University protests, and what are you gathering from Americans? What are they saying about these protests?
Yeah, Eric, I'm standing outside of Hamilton Hall in front of Columbia University here in New York. And I think it's a good opportunity for me to just show you what's happening around here. As you mentioned, they have occupied, these pro-Gaza protesters, Hamilton Hall. And from what we can see from the outside, because media is not allowed in, this is our view. We do see, if you can see, this is a Palestinian, pro-Palestinian banner saying Free Palestine. Hanging on Hamilton Hall, and then you have a banner in support of an environmental activist that was shot by police back in 2023, so not really related to this. And then if you move on here, you can see right in front of the Columbia campus, in front of the door, there's a blue tent. The blue tent that you see is for only students, not students, only personnel who have to be on campus and faculty who have to be on campus, and students who are actually residing on campus. They're the ones allowed in the Columbia doors. Everyone else is not permitted on the premise of Columbia University and on the campus. And I've seen numerous people being turned around. Now, what's concerning about this is there are certain students who rely on having a meal at Columbia. They're food insecure. They can't even access inside those food halls at this time. And that was a concerning issue. Let me move the camera around for you and show you what's happening across the street. Since media is not permitted, you have national and international media across the street from Columbia basically reporting. You do have a police and public safety vehicle here. But as you can see, there's no sign of the NYPD, and no arrests have been made here in Columbia. Did I speak too soon? I do see an officer actually coming towards the camp. I think you can see him. He's walking towards the Columbia campus, right, walking past it. But nonetheless, there are no officers around here to really, pound on what Minoshe Shafik, the president, said. She noted that, there won't be any arrests, at least for now. But this is a situation that no one knows what's going to happen next.
Right.
And that's the concerning issue, not only for the students who are looking forward to graduating from this Ivy League university, but also those that need to be on campus for one reason or the other. They have finals, although the option of remote learning has been given to students and faculty, but a lot of questions unanswered. And ultimately, I think what we're going to see later on in the day is, first of all, how the university wants to respond to those agitations last night of not only occupying a building in the university, but we saw videos and images online of individuals. They might have been students, they might have been outside agitators that got in. They were pounding and opening the windows and breaking the windows, trying to get into this university. According to the Columbia Spectator, which is the official newspaper magazine for Columbia University, there were several janitors who said they were held hostage by these protesters and demonstrators and couldn't get out until they finally got out a little past midnight. So that's also a cause for concern. But again, the most fascinating, perhaps, and bizarre thing is, despite everything that I told you and showed you and what's happening, and we're outside reporting here, the media isn't even allowed in. It is just radio silence from administrators inside this university.
Susan, did you manage to get a hold of one of the students from Columbia University, because they had been issued a threat that they may face suspension if they continue with the protests?
They have, and Columbia says that their suspension process is ongoing, but the students put out a statement. I do want to say that a lot of the protesters have been advised not to talk to the media. They say they have a press team, but no one has been able to locate that press team. They put out a statement on X saying that despite punishment and suspension, they're going to stand their ground because there was a vote among the protesters. They said that they were going to continue staying. I do want to say that there is a tent camp that we've seen image of inside the university. That camp is significantly smaller after that threat of suspension Monday, but still there are about a dozen encampments inside continuing. And then, of course, in Hamilton building behind me, that is where the majority of the protesters are waiting and waiting for Columbia to divest. And Columbia said that it's never going to divest.
All right. A lot of commotion there. We've been talking to our correspondent, Susan Teherani, who's outside the Hamilton Hall in New York. Thank you very much, Susan, for that update. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.